was looking at deals and I'm going, how can I make? So I want to make something very, very clear to you. There is no such thing as get rich quick. There's no such thing as get rich easy, but there is such a thing as get rich quicker and get rich easier. So whatever you do in life, you're not just going to magically snap your fingers and all of a sudden make money, but there are definitely ways that you can make your life a lot easier, because their quote unquote laziness leads them to evaluate all the opportunities and choose the opportunity that has the best ROI, the best vehicle to get them to their destination. So in today's video, I have a very simple promise for you. I'm going to show you the laziest way. And by the way, don't ever let anyone shame you for looking for the laziest way. A lot of times the laziest translates into the smartest. So I'm going to show you the laziest way to make money this year. And we're going to do that by evaluating all the different business models out there and get to the bottom of really what makes the most sense for you at your career stage. All right, so listen, as a 9-figure entrepreneur, I've been asked this question over and over. And a lot of people, I come from a very unique perspective because I own multiple software companies. I own multiple physical product brands. For example, like my probably other companies, one of the companies that I own is a company that helps people with digital products. And at the time of recording this, at least people make about $100 million a month on my platform. So I'm in this very interesting position where, I've had service businesses. I have some bootstrap software companies. I have some VC funded software companies. I have physical product brands. I have consumable brands. Like my investment in my empire is so far reaching. So I'm not really married or obsessed over any one model. They can all work. I'm just trying to be honest with you guys and show you which one is really the laziest one, aka the smartest path. So that way you're not working 60, 70 hours a week on this thing that may or may not work. So that's why in today's video, we're going to answer a very simple question. How can you make the most amount of money with the least amount of effort? You see, in 2025, there's this whole stigma, there's this whole grind culture where anyone asking this question should be shunned for wanting to make money with minimal effort. And as someone who has taught thousands and thousands and thousands of aspiring entrepreneurs how to make money online, to be honest, at this point, it might even be millions. I want to tell you something very important. Asking what is the laziest, which to me really just means the smartest, the highest ROI way in terms of how much you put in versus how much you get out. Like as an investor, for example, I'm always looking at deals and I'm going, how can I make the highest return, have the largest delta from what I put in compared to what I get out? Why should business be any different, or side hustles or online businesses be any different? Like it's a very valid question to ask, and you should not be shamed for wanting to be a bajillionaire and work your face off for 30 years and sleep on a mattress. It's like, no, your business can work for you, and you can build a lazy business that works for you rather than you being a slave to business. So this is a very valid question, and don't let anyone, the whole hustle culture thing, like try to shame you for asking this question. And listen, I'm sure you've seen this and I'm sure you're sick of it. How many videos have you seen on YouTube telling you the reason that you're not a millionaire is because you're just simply not working hard enough? Okay, cool. So using that same logic, is that the reason why nurses, teachers, and construction workers aren't millionaires, because they just don't work hard enough? Of course not. We know that's ridiculous. Those are some of the hardest working professionals out there. You see, hard work is just one component of becoming rich, and the richest people on earth, they know this, they understand this. As Warren Buffett once famously said, it's not about how hard you row, it's about what boat that you're in. So in very simple terms, the richest people on earth, they know this, they understand this. As Warren Buffett once famously said, it's not about how hard you row, it's about what boat that you're in. So in very simple terms, the business model you choose is more important than the hours you dedicate to it. Some business models require more work than others to achieve the same result. That is quite frankly a fact. Models, simple terms, basically said, it's not about how hard you row, it's about what boat that you're in. So in very simple terms, the business model you choose is more important than the hours you dedicate to it. Some business models require more work than others to achieve the same result. That is quite frankly a fact. So today, I'm going to help you find the laziest business model. I'm going to compare 5 different business models. And by the way, this is speaking from experience, not a, hey, well, I think this one's harder. I think this, like, by the way, coming from someone who's made $1 million in profit with every single one of these models, literally every single one of them. And some of these models I've made up to $100 million from. So like, trust me, I know what I'm talking about when I speak about this. And we're going to compare them to find the one that allows you to make the most money with the least effort. So to compare these business models, let's use 5 categories to accurately assess which business model is truly the laziest. The first one is upfront capital. Now, the capital category measures the minimum dollar amount you need to spend to start the business and get it off the ground. Next is scale, the minimum dollar amount used. The first one, categories to accurately assess which business model is
brother. Good evening. कैसे हैं आप? तो आपका छाती में तो मतलब इसमें लीव्स में तो लगा अच्छा। आप क्या बोले वो वाला मैनुअल थोड़ा टूटा हुआ था ना, घुस गया पूरा। मतलब हाथ के ऊपर हो सकता है पकड़ लिए होंगे ना, दोनों हाथ से पकड़ लिए फटक से। और मैनुअल किसका था कि हमें क्या था, ये लैट्रिन का था क्या? तब पानी वाला। हाँ हाँ, अच्छा पुराना था। हाँ 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 हाँ। खुद खुद ही जाके उसकी खुद ही जाके खड़े हो गए। हाँ, अरे, उसके बाद सब सब आसपास ही था पकड़।
Compare these business models. Let's use 5 categories to accurately assess which business model is truly the laziest. The first one is upfront capital. Now, the capital category measures the minimum dollar amount you need to spend to start the business and get it off the ground. Next is scalability. Now, scalability measures your ability to start the business.
कल सवेरे कितने बजे? 8-9 बजे, क्योंकि आप 10 बजे में मैसेज किए। पैर वैर छिल गया होगा। हाँ हाँ, पूरा बॉडी का वेट उसमें बगल के उधर जो लग गया। और आपको भुगाएगा 2-3 दिन। नहीं, 1 हफ्ते के ऊपर भुगाएगा वो तो। आपको पेन किलर दिया होगा। कैसे उल्टा सीधा हो गया फिर। ये तो बात है, बहुत बड़ा फड़ा गया आपका। प्रॉब्लम क्या है? हो गया मतलब किसी का ये नहीं, हाथ में नहीं रहता कुछ, हो गया। और जो भी है, मैं तो देखा ही नहीं था। मेरा मोबाइल का परसों आया लेट, और कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं लग रहा था। कल मोबाइल कब से बंद था, मैं देखा ही नहीं ऑफिस का मोबाइल। हाँ, फिर मैं आज सवेरे उठ के आपको कॉल किया तो फिर आप बताया मुझे। तो जो भी है, ये क्या
And get it
हुआ,
off the
इसमें
ground.
और ज्यादा
Next
काम
is
दिया है।
scalability. Now,
और
scalability
लगभग अगले महीने ही आएगा, पर ये बढ़ गया है। इसने 140 नंबर्स का कुछ 2.5 इंच का। हाँ, हम लोग वो पहले बीटीएल में काम करते थे। हाँ, तो बीटीएल का एक प्रोजेक्ट था, मैत्र बांग्लादेश। नाम सुने आप, मैत्र बांग्लादेश? हाँ, उसका कुछ आपके पास डिटेल्स है क्या? उसमें 65 एमबी का कुछ वाल्व लिया था, वाटर स्प्रिंकलर का। तो वो अभी 140 नंबर्स अभी उसका रिक्वायरमेंट है। और 70 और 74 वो जो अलग से वाल्व जो आप पहले जो हम लोग, हाँ, वो तो है ही। सब दोनों एक साथ ही है, बांग्लादेश वाला ही है, मैत्रो प्रोजेक्ट का। ये नहीं, सॉरी, ये है आपका सेम है। ये प्रोजेक्ट है आपका अदानी रायगढ़ होगा, अदानी रायगढ़। अदानी रायगढ़ का प्रोजेक्ट है। ठीक है, ये पहले बात है, मैं फंस गया था।
measures your ability to make more money without doing additional work. Next, we look at fulfillment. Now, fulfillment.
आज सवेरे मैं निकल गया हावड़ा स्टेशन से, उनको फोन लगा रहा हूँ कि मैं क्योंकि उदित्य को फोन आपको फोन करने के बाद उदित्य को फोन किया कि मैं रेंटल ले सकता हूँ क्या, ओला रेंटल। तो वो बोला नहीं आप नहीं ले सकते। तो मैं इधर से ओला करके हावड़ा से लोकल ट्रेन करके जाने वाला था। तो हावड़ा तक पहुंचे तो उन्होंने फोन नहीं उठाया, फोन बंद कर दिया। तो मैं पूरा बैठ गया हावड़ा में। तो क्या हुआ, अभी क्या करूं मैं उत्तरपाड़ा चला जाऊंगा। बारिश तो एकदम मैंने जबरदस्त बारिश हो रहा है। तो मैं क्या क्या मेरा डिसीजन ले लिया जो नहीं, जब निकला हूं तो मैं जाऊंगा। तो उत्तरपाड़ा चला गया पूरा। चला जाने के बाद वो फिर फोन उठाया। लगातार उसको मैं कम से कम 25-30 बार फोन किया। उन्होंने उठाया तब 12:30 वही 1-1:30 बजे वो फोन उठाया। उन्होंने बताया कि देवज्योति आई एम वेरी वेरी सॉरी, मैं बारिश के कारण मैं भी ऑफिस आ नहीं पाया, ठीक है, पर आप एक काम करो, मुझको 1 घंटा टाइम दो, मैं आपको पूरा डिटेल्स बताता हूँ। उन्होंने मैं तो इधर ही हूँ सर, आप बताइए, मैं आप यदि बोलेंगे तो आप आएंगे तो मैं आपसे मुलाकात करके जाऊंगा। फिर 1 घंटे बाद फिर से उत्तर पड़ा, उधर से ही फोन किया उसको, वो नहीं आया। उन्होंने मुझको पूरा इसका बोला जे ये आपका 140 नंबर इसका भी चाहिए, एक साथ आप मुझको ऑफर दे दीजिए, मैं इसका ऑफर बीटीएल को सबमिट करूंगा। हाँ, और 1 हफ्ता से
measures how challenging it is to deliver whatever it is that you're selling. Next, we look at risk. Now, different business models have various.
ठीक बोले आप। मैं बीटीएल ऑफिस काल ले एक बार, क्योंकि बीटीएल में मेरा काम भी है। वो याद है आपको, यादगिरी प्रोजेक्ट का दिया था इंक्वायरी आपको। हाँ, साइज मैं उसे भी पूछ लेता हूँ। नहीं, बीटीएल को कुछ नहीं बोलूंगा मैं। हाँ 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 हाँ, मैं उसको बोलूंगा एकदम।
Levels of risk. Risk is usually linked to time and capital. And by the way, I am not a fan at all of risk when it comes to starting a business. Now, later on in your life, you can take big bets. A lot of times when I start companies or even my existing businesses, the other day we sent a $500,000 wire for our next batch of product for the eyewear company. Or for example, when I started Big Day, my consumable brand, we put almost $1 million into stock just from the get-go. And as time goes on, you can put more risks into these businesses. These days, I'm taking very, very big risks in terms of my capital, in terms of how much money I'm investing in businesses. That's really what I've been doing the majority of last year in my free time, is just buying up a lot of companies. And usually each month I reveal one of those. I'm sure some of you guys saw, I took a major stake in a company called Walp as a co-owner, whether it be that or another one of my companies, Lyra, that I invested in last year. I'm currently a shareholder in that company. We just got accepted into Y Combinator. And in a few months, when we open up our first official round, I would have made about a 15x in that company. So all of these are great, but they're risks. They're big money risks. A lot of times these risks cannot work out. So me in my career stage, if I write the checks that I do and things don't work out, if I invest money into this company or that company, it's okay because I have the risk tolerance and I'm farther into my career. Whereas when I first started, I'm really not a big fan of risk until you've had many, many years under your belt as an entrepreneur. Next is difficulty. Now, difficulty measures how hard it is to understand the business model.
पहले सोचा इसको डीडीए को ही पहले कंप्लीट करता हूँ, फिर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता सब कर लूंगा। और एक चीज है वो आपका हेल्प चाहिए। एक सीएफ भी रेस करना पड़ेगा आपको, बोला हूँ ना 12 एडेप्टर के लिए। आज अमित शाह ने मुझको मिल दिया है, तो उसको हेल्प करने से ना ओपरा मतलब आन पर हाँ। मैं अमित जी को फोन करके बोलूँ सर। सही बात। और वो देखिए बाद में प्राइस देखा, एनटीपीसी सिंगरौली का 12,45,000 का ऑर्डर है और हम लोगों को है 8 लाख समथिंग 15,000, मतलब कम से कम 4,35,000 का वो लोग ऑर्डर उठाया है, मतलब लाभ किया है। क्या ये भी तो है, खिलाता भी है, ये भी बात है। खिलाएगा कितना खिलाएगा 2 लाख
and how much trial and error is involved in building a successful business. So, to truly find the laziest business model, we really need to start by finding the business model that meets these following criteria. Upfront capital is low, scalability is high, fulfillment is following criteria. Upfront capital is low, scalability.
FS में obsolete कर दिया है ये 901 वाला F901-4AZ में देख रहा था ये क्या हम लोग फिर से बेच नहीं बन सकते क्या तो ये लोग ऑब्सोलेट क्यों कर दिया है अभी क्योंकि रिहान में हम लोग बात करके आया है रिहान में क्या हुआ मैं आपको बताता हूँ ये बहुत दिन का स्टोरी चल रहा है रिहान में अभी तो बहुत झमेला चालू हो गया ये लोग ब्लैक वो क्या बोलते हैं पॉकेट में ब्लैक ये उसको लेके सब बैठे हैं कोई काम नहीं कर रहा ये बहुत दिन से उनका मैनेजमेंट के साथ लड़ाई चल रही है आपको भी पता है मुझको बहुत दिन अभी सहल बताए अभी फिर मैं आज 2 महीने ना 3 महीने बाद जा रहा हूँ सेम चीज और उसके बाद उनका हेड ऑफिस में भी क्या बोलते हैं आंदोलन चालू है उनका कुछ रिक्वायरमेंट के लिए मतलब कुछ है अंदर इंटरनल हाँ मैं थोड़ा बहुत जानता हूँ वो छोड़ दीजिए तो उधर में भी वाटर सेपरेटर लेने वाला है और ये भी खबर आया है जूली मैडम नहीं थी तो मुझको पूरा खबर नहीं आया जे वो एनटीपीसी का जो ये है क्या बोलते हैं उसका एआरसी उसमें रिहान ने कुछ डाला है क्या नहीं क्योंकि अश्विनी को बोला है जे उसने कुछ नहीं डाला है ना कंफर्म किया है ठीक है तो भी है नहीं किया तो क्या हुआ तो
is high, fulfillment is easy, risk is capital is low, scalability is high, fulfillment is easy, risk is low, and difficulty is easy. If we can get one that has all of these, well then amazing. We are in business. Now listen, I know there are thousands of entrepreneurs out there telling you how easy it is to make money with the model that they use. As I mentioned to you before, there's one very key difference between them and me. The reason that these people tell you that their business model is the easiest is because that is the model that they succeeded in. I have succeeded in all of these models, either previously or currently still in this moment. So that is why you truly came to the right place with this video, because I have a full 360 view of all of them, and I truly understand which business models you can make the most amount of money with the least effort. So as I said, today I'm going to share behind the scenes of some of the most popular online business models. As I mentioned, no one is more qualified to share this on YouTube because I've succeeded with all these, whether that be consumable brands, software, digital products, agency services, once again, physical products. And with most of these businesses, I have multiple companies within those product categories. So let's start with one of the most common online business models, dropshipping. I mean, dropshipping seems pretty easy, right? You just find a product that people like, you find a supplier from a country like China, you list the product on your website, and the sales start rolling in. Voila, surely. And the best part is that all of the fulfillment is taken care of by your supplier. Well, my friend, I wish it was this easy, but unfortunately, it's not. So let's see how dropshipping stacks up in our 5 categories, starting with upfront capital. You see, one of the most expensive parts when it comes to starting a dropshipping business is finding a winning product, or at least a legal one. Anyways, that usually requires weeks, if not months, of running paid ads just to see whether you have found a product that actually sells. Then when it comes to scalability, I mean, to be honest, it really depends. Traditional dropshipping isn't scalable at all. Dropshippers continue to test products, always closing old stores that are dying and building new stores.
तो वो नीलेश कुमार जी ने स्कैम मार दिया है जो भी है अभी ये बंदे को मैं भेज के इसको देखता हूँ इसको क्लियर करता हूँ ठीक है ये हो गया राइट्स का लो हाँ ये
for the next fad or the next product that they find that's a winner but then fades over time. So if you're building real actual brands like I do with my e-commerce products, then yeah, sure, it can be very scalable. But then again, I say that and there's issues all the time, you know, even just yesterday, listen, it wasn't a massive order. It was only about 1,000 units. So those 1,000 units of one of our SKUs at the eyewear company, whatever, that's 125 grand worth of sales or stock. So it's a very small part of our order. But anyways, in the production, there was some discoloration for us. That's not acceptable. We're never going to sell that to our customers. So there we go. Now I'm set back 2 to 3 months on that specific SKU. So it is scalable, but you can, you know, anytime you're making anything tangible, there can be a lot of issues involved. But anyways, back to the point. If we're doing it like this and, you know, building a real brand and all that stuff, that doesn't fall under traditional dropshipping products, then yeah, sure, it can be very scalable. But then again, I say that, and there's issues all the time. Even just yesterday, listen, it wasn't a massive order. It was only about 1,000 units. So those 1,000 units of one of our SKUs at the eyewear company, whatever, that's 125 grand worth of sales or stock. So it's a very small part of our order. But anyways, in the production, there was some discoloration. For us, that's not acceptable. We're never going to sell that to our customers. So there we go. Now I'm set back 2 to 3 months on that specific SKU. So it is scalable, but you can, anytime you're making any
मतलब वो सिस्टम में डाल के गया था कि ये मतलब ये अप्रूव नहीं हुआ था कि ये हम लोग खरीदेंगे, इतना करके गया था सिस्टम, इतना सिस्टम में करके गया है. अभी इसका अप्रूवल नहीं करके गया था. अभी अप्रूवल करेगा तो नीलेश कुमार करेगा. नीलेश कुमार ही सब कुछ है, सीनियर मैनेजर ऐसा है. हाँ, राइट्स देगा, राइट्स ये है ना, कोई थर्ड पार्टी है, राइट्स.
anything tangible, there can be a lot of issues involved. But anyways, back to the point. If we're doing it like this and, building a real brand and all that stuff, that doesn't fall under traditional dropshipping anymore. These businesses are highly complex with multiple parties being involved along the supply chain. So building a real brand compared to dropshipping, those are two very different things. Now, when it comes to fulfillment, yes, majority of it is done for you for the most part, but there are aspects of the fulfillment process that is out of your control. Aspects like shipping delays, suppliers not having stock, and refunds. The lack of control when it comes to fulfillment can make this a very stressful business because, maybe you have the demand, but unfortunately, a lot of times there can be fulfillment issues. So moderate, I don't mean as in like it's a lot of difficulty to fulfill. It's just that there's a lot of things that could go wrong in the process. Now let's talk about risk. You see the upfront investment needed for testing products, fluctuating market trends, and a lack of control during fulfillment means that dropshipping is a high risk business model. Even just in delays, suppliers not having, doesn't fall under traditional dropshipping anymore. These businesses are highly complex with multiple parties. Parties being involved along the supply chain. So building a real brand compared to dropshipping, those are two very different things. Now, when it comes to fulfillment, yes, majority of it is done for you for the most part, but there are aspects of the fulfillment process that is out of your control. Aspects like shipping delays, suppliers not having stock, and refunds. The lack of control when it comes to fulfillment can make this a very stressful business because, maybe you have the demand, but unfortunately, a lot of times there can be fulfillment issues. So moderate, I don't mean as in like it's a lot of difficulty to fulfill. It's just that there's a lot of things that could go wrong in the process. Now let's talk about risk. You see the upfront investment needed for testing products, fluctuating market trends, and a lack of control during fulfillment means that dropshipping is a high-risk business model. Even just a few days ago, I woke up to the glorious news about Trump's new tariffs, and that makes dropshipping that much more tricky. And listen, for me as an e-commerce brand owner, that affects me personally as well. Now I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be good. As I said, I have an actual brand. So there's a lot more control we have, and there's a lot more options and ways to take things. But with dropshipping, unfortunately, things have gotten that much harder. Now, going back to risk, I have seen so many beginners burn through money when they don't have the right training, and I've seen established stores die out due to market trends. Now, when it comes to difficulty, I would say this model is incredibly difficult, okay? Being truly successful with dropshipping in 2025 is very difficult. And by the way, it just seems to be getting harder and harder and harder. The amount of trial and error when testing products, coupled with the levels of competition in the market, means the learning curve is steep. It can take months, half a year to even become profitable. So let's summarize dropshipping. Upfront capital, 2 to 5,000. Scalability is moderate. Fulfillment is moderate. Risk is high and difficulty is hard. So listen, despite popular belief and all the stuff that you've been sold, dropshipping takes a lot of effort and high risk tolerance to be successful. So let's talk about the first model that I used to make money online. Social media marketing agency. A social media marketing agency is a service-based business where you offer specific marketing services to businesses in exchange for a fee. Now, these services include services like paid traffic, SEO, web development, social media management, as well as lead generation. I have openly said many times that SMMA is one of the best business models for beginners, but let's see how it performs in the 5 categories. So let's talk about upfront capital because this is really where SMMA excels. SMMA is a sweat equity model. It doesn't require thousands of dollars in software or paid ads to keep upfront costs low. All you need to get started is a laptop, Wi-Fi, and some basic software. It's very cheap to start. Now, one thing that SMMAs aren't particularly good at is scalability. Agencies can be scaled, but it comes at a cost. Because it's a service-based business, every additional client adds more work and more complexity. And there becomes a point where agencies become so complex that simply the extra juice just isn't worth the squeeze. And that's why for so many years, I kept telling people, agency is a great business model to get to 10K a month. If you go look at my YouTube channel, I wasn't telling people you're going to make 100K a month, any huge numbers. I just said, listen, if you want to have a great lifestyle business to make 5K, 10K, 15, even upwards of 20K a month, great business model. Scaling past there, becomes a little tricky. Now let's talk about fulfillment. You see, fulfilling the services you provide when running an agency can be pretty simple due to contractor arbitrage, but that is only one side of it. And by the way, contractor arbitrage just means you find someone to deliver the service in a country where the US dollar, the buying power is substantially better. You pay them $500 per month per client. You charge the client $1,500 or $2,000. And by the way, it's so funny in the past when people have per month per client, fulfillment. You see, fulfilling the services you provide when running an agency can be pretty simple due to contractor arbitrage, but that is only one side of it. And by the way, contractor arbitrage just means you find someone to deliver the service in a country where the US dollar, the buying power is substantially better. You pay them $500 per month per client. You charge the client $1,500 or $2,000. And by the way, it's so funny in the past when people have argued with me about this. It's pretty much the entire global economy works on an arbitrage model. That's why, dropshipping, for example, is an arbitrage model. So this model is omnipresent. It's everywhere in the world. It's just with SMA, you apply it to services. Now, some downsides, you have to manage a full team and deal with clients on a daily basis, which doesn't align with our goal of finding the laziest business model. I would say agency is a great business model, but you learn so much as an actual business owner because you have to be truly a business owner. You have to be switched on. You have to be on the ball. Risk, once again, SMA is one of the lowest risk business models out there. It's amazing because it doesn't require huge capital injections to get started, and you have a lot of control over the fulfillment process. This is one of the main reasons why I have always said that SMA is one of the most beginner-friendly business models out there. When it comes to difficulty, I give it a moderate. SMA has become a lot harder over time. There's no denying it. Obviously, as markets start to become more mature, a lot more people come into market.
डीवीसी का 28 लाख का 20 लाख का ऑर्डर मुझको चाहिए, मैं फॉलो अप नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. वो जो HOTV का जो भाग
market, it does get trickier as time goes on. There's definitely more competition in the market than when I first started, and it is a business model that requires you to master various different skills such as prospecting, outreach, sales, and management. You actually have to be a real business owner and be skilled in multiple different domains. So to summarize, upfront capital, $50 to $200, scalability, low, fulfillment, moderate, risk, low, difficulty, moderate. So to summarize, SMA is a business model you can start with almost no risk, but a big drawback, especially when you're looking for a low effort business, is that scaling often leads to complexity and increased workload. So let's talk about a big one. You see a lot of new business owners want to start by creating the next big app. So let's break that down. Software. You see, some of the most famous entrepreneurs have made millions, even billions of dollars in software. And this leads aspiring entrepreneurs to believe that software. So let's talk about for business. Is it
ओके दादा, मैं अभी भेज दे रहा हूँ आपको. हाँ, आप संभाल के रहिए. हाँ, ओके ओके. ए बाबा, ए क्या करता है नो? क्या करता है नो? क्या करता है नो? चाय पी कर आते हैं. चल चल.
না না আমি চা খাবো না.
চাটা খেয়ে আসি.
আমি এক্ষুনি ডিনার করেছি.
তা কিছু হবে না, চা খেয়ে আসি. তুই আমার ফ্রেন্ড আছিস, আজকে তুই আমার কাছে শুবি. হ্যাঁ,
তাড়াতাড়ি ঘুমাবে?
না, আজ আমার 2 বেজে যাবে.
না আমার তো ভোরবেলা উঠতে হবে 4:30.
তবে তোর বাবাকে নিয়ে তুই শুয়ে পড়িস, ঠিক আছে? হ্যাঁ, এসিটাকে চালিয়ে শো কেন? কি জন্য আমি বুঝতে পারি না.
গরম লাগছে.
ব্যাড নয়েজ হয়ে যাচ্ছে. আবার 24-এ আমি গরিব আছি, এত কারেন্ট পোড়ালে আমি কিনা কোথায় যাবো? এবারে 5,000 টাকা
এইটা ফ্যানটা
কে এসছে? তোমার বাপ এসছে?
Scaling often leads to complexity and increased workload. So let's talk about a big one. You see, a lot of new business owners want to start by creating the next big app. So let's break that down. Software. You see, some of the most famous entrepreneurs have made millions, even billions of dollars in software. And this leads aspiring entrepreneurs to believe that software is the best business model to get rich. And listen, I can tell you from experience that software is one of the most difficult business models to succeed in. I've built my own software company, Flowzy, from scratch, and I've also invested in various others. Using my experience, let me use the 5 categories and show you why software is not for those who want to build a business with minimal effort. So let's talk about upfront capital. You can look at minimum $250,000 to build a solid software company. If you're trying to build a software company that will make you rich, you either need a lot of your own capital to invest, or you need hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in funding. By the way, even if you already know how to code, you're going to need a team, and software developers are not cheap. On top of this, you will need an extensive marketing budget to get the business off the ground. Now, I will say scalability is very high, and the reason that software has created so many billionaires is because it is highly scalable. Once you have your product, it is just about getting more and more users. That being said, there are complexities that arise as you scale. Your team is going to have to grow in departments such as developers, customer support, as well as client success. Fulfillment is very difficult. Building a software will take months, if not years, of hard work. And even after the product is built, software demands ongoing development of new features as well as ongoing bug fixes. Now, when it comes to risk, this is a real drawback to software. Very high risk. Software is one of the riskiest business models out there. If you're using your own capital, all of that money can be lost if the business doesn't work. And in many cases, software entrepreneurs are using money from investors, which adds an extra layer of risk on top. For difficulty, it is extremely hard. The software industry is one of the most competitive markets on earth. It also requires a huge amount of technical skills, such as coding and design. It's going to require outside funding, and securing that funding makes the business model even more difficult than when it already is. So pretty much to summarize, upfront capital, you're looking at a lot of money. Scalability, yes, it's very high. Fulfillment, hard. Risk, high. Difficulty, very hard. So software is just simply not a beginner-friendly business model, and it takes years of effort to be successful. My honest advice would just be to avoid software when starting your entrepreneurial journey. Next, I'm going to show you a business model that I have made millions and millions of dollars with, but has always just been sort of a background side income, and that is affiliate marketing. Listen, to be honest, I wouldn't really call affiliate marketing a real business, but there are people making a lot of money using this method. Affiliate marketers promote other brands' products in a variety of ways. These include websites, blogs, social media content, and product reviews, just to name a few. You see, when someone buys a product through the affiliate marketer's link, they get a pre-agreed cut of the selling price from the brand. So for example, when you're watching a YouTube video and the creator ends the video with buy/sign up using the link in the description, when they see stuff like that, that is an affiliate link, and they get a kickback from every sale. Now, let me make something very clear. I have never used my social media platforms for affiliate marketing, but some of my previous agency programs had affiliate links for different softwares that my clients needed. Okay, so these people needed these softwares regardless. So if I'm going to promote these softwares, I might as well drop in my affiliate link. And this was a win on both sides, because I was able to make passive income from affiliates, but I was also able to get favorable terms for my clients and users for software that they needed regardless. Now, being fully transparent, I don't really use affiliate marketing anymore because I now have the resources to build custom softwares for my users. So rather than recommending softwares, I either just create my own, or I just invest and buy into existing software businesses. So that way I can control them and I can tweak them as I like. That being said, is it a method that you can use to make money with minimal effort is a real question. Well, let's take a look. Upfront capital, probably $100 to $200. I mean, affiliate marketing requires minimal upfront investment to get started. A majority of your capital will be spent on content tools like editing software and maybe some AI tools to make the process easier. Scalability here is moderate. Affiliate marketers can promote as many products as they like. There's an endless amount of affiliate programs out there. So the scalability constraints really comes into play when it comes to actual content. It is impossible to promote hundreds of products in one piece of content, which means the more content you make, the more products you can promote and the more money you are able to make off the back of it. Now, when it comes to fulfillment, it's relatively easy because the physical product fulfillment has nothing to do with you. So in this regard, the fulfillment is actually quite simple. That being said, if you want lots of people to use your links, the content has to be quality and you need to attract a big audience. Affiliate marketing, to me, the reason I don't consider it like a proper business is like you build a personal brand and then you can make money from affiliate marketing. So the fulfillment, yeah, you're not fulfilling on like what is being bought, but you're fulfilling in terms of like you have to create the content to draw the audience in, and then from there they use your affiliate link. So as I said, you need to attract a big audience for this specific model to actually work. Growing a large audience isn't impossible, but of course it takes time and effort. I love it. I recommend everyone build a micro niche personal brand. It's one of the best things that you can do for your career in life. But of course, it's not something that, snap your fingers and it just happens overnight. When it comes to risk, obviously, this is extremely low. There's practically no upfront investment, and growing an audience on social media will add value to your life, whether you're successful with affiliate marketing or not. This means the risk is pretty much insignificant. Now, when it comes to difficulty, I'd say it's moderate here. Actually finding affiliate links and the lack of product fulfillment makes it something that, snap your fingers and it just happens overnight. When it comes to risk, obviously, this is extremely low. There's practically no upfront investment, and growing an audience on social media will add value to your life, whether you're successful with affiliate marketing or not. This means the risk is pretty much insignificant. Now, when it comes to difficulty, I'd say it's moderate here. Actually finding affiliate links and the lack of product fulfillment makes affiliate marketing an easy method to make money with. But the aspect that increases the difficulty from easy to moderate is the fact that you need to grow an audience. And this can take months of mastering content creation. So that's what takes it from super easy business model to moderately difficult. So just to summarize here, upfront capital, you're looking at $100 to $200. Scalability, moderate. Fulfillment, moderate. Risk is low. Difficulty is moderate. Affiliate marketing. Marketing is a cheap, low-risk method to make money online. The biggest barrier for most beginners is really the time that it takes to grow an audience large enough to make a sustainable income with affiliate marketing. Now, at this point, I have broken down 4 of the most common ways to make money online: dropshipping, SMA, software, affiliate marketing. Now, as I've shown you, some are easier than others, lazier than others, but it's unlikely that you're going to be able to make a substantial amount of money with minimal effort with really any of these methods. So just remember, I have successfully made money with literally all of these models. And now I'm going to reveal what I believe is truly the laziest business model out there for you to get started with. My friend, let me introduce you to digital products 2.0. You see, a digital product is a way of packaging information in a way that solves a particular problem for the buyer, most commonly known as courses or programs. Now, as many of you guys know, I've done this pretty much more successfully than almost anyone else out there, coming right up to almost $100 million in earnings in the last 5 years with this model. Now, I created my first official digital product. You guys know I've done this pretty much more successfully than almost anyone else out there. This is the laziest business model out there for you to get started with. My friend, let me introduce you to digital products 2.0. You see, a digital product is a way of packaging information in a way that solves a particular problem for the buyer, most commonly known as courses or programs. Now, as many of you guys know, I've done this pretty much more successfully than almost anyone else out there, coming right up to almost $100 million in earnings in the last 5 years with this model. Now, I created my first official digital product in 2018, and since then, I've made millions from selling digital products. But I want to be very honest with you. You see, when I first started with digital products, it wasn't easy to just create the most basic of digital products. It took me months, and as the quality went up, so did the cost. By the way, I'm not talking about just a few $1,000s. Products like Agency Navigator and Agency Accelerator had external coaches and completely custom platforms, not to mention the size of the team I hired to help me build out the programs as well as do the service delivery. These products, I'm not joking, cost me millions of dollars to produce. Now, you very fairly might be thinking, well, if digital products are so complex and expensive to create, why am I even mentioning digital products in a video that's all about making money with minimal effort? Well, I will tell you why. It is 2025 and times have changed. You see, I got started with digital products in 2018. That was digital product 1.0 era. Right now it's 2025 and we're living in digital product 2.0 era. You see, in the past, digital products had one of the highest barrier of entrance because you needed extraordinary expertise months of research, high-level copywriting skills, as well as expensive custom platforms. Now, there have been 2 technological advancements that have eliminated the need for everything I just mentioned, and those are artificial intelligence as well as product hosting platforms. You see, every product that I've built over the last 7 years took me months to build out. The team and I needed to research the topics, synthesize the information, script videos using the synthesized information, and only then could I sit down and actually record the program. Whereas with AI, this takes a fraction of the time. AI is able to actually record the program. Whereas with AI, this takes a fraction of the time. AI is able to research a topic, synthesize the knowledge, and script the content that needs to be recorded in minutes. Let that sink in. Truly, let that sink in. What took my team months takes minutes with AI. Now, by the way, I know you're hearing this and thinking, no, this is too hard to believe. I can't imagine something like this. Well, the crazy thing is that my team of developers and I have already built a tool that does exactly this. And we've only let in a small group of people earlier this year to actually use it because it's so ridiculously powerful. But I can tell you for a fact, it works and it has pretty much eliminated 95% of the workload in these people's businesses. It basically helps you do 100 business plans at once. And from there, it helps you find profitable product topics. So it'll actually help you find the best markets to get into. And then from there, it synthesizes knowledge from experts. And then from there, it creates program outlines and scripts the lessons. Literally, the only task you have is to record yourself reading the scripts. That's it. You don't even need to show your face because the recording is done on Loom. All you're going to do is speak over the documents that are on the screen. That's it. And by the way, Synthesize AI doesn't just find your topic. It creates the program outline for you, as well as the entire script for you. It even creates supporting PDF resources and tools for your program to make sure the product is as valuable as possible for your clients. So as you can see, AI has truly changed the game with regards to building the product. But what about hosting and selling it? You see, in 2025, there are platforms that will not only host digital products, but will also boost sales through their built-in marketplaces. This leads to the barrier to entry being lower than ever before. So let's take a look at an example of another industry that saw the drastic lowering of barriers to entry just a few years ago. Let's go back to the example of e-commerce. You see, there was a time where if you wanted to sell physical products online, it was practically impossible for beginners. You either needed capital to invest or you needed to be able to code to create a custom website to sell your products. Then fast forward a few years and Shopify becomes available, a platform that allowed literally anyone to sell physical products online. In addition to that, Amazon also takes off. This allowed anyone to sell products on the biggest physical product marketplace on earth. So, what happened to these platforms when it became accessible for everyone? Beginners started making millions of dollars using methods such as dropshipping and Amazon FBA. These platforms eliminated all the barriers to entry. This is about 10, 12 years ago. Now, recently, as some of you guys may have seen, I announced that I made a major investment and became a co-owner of WAP. WAP is a platform to host and sell digital products. Think about it, kind of like Shopify and Amazon in one platform for digital products. You see, the combination of artificial intelligence like Synthesis AI and digital product platforms like WAP don't only provide one of the biggest online money-making opportunities of the decade, it also presents one of the easiest, laziest ways of making money online in 2025. But let's make it fair. Let's see how digital products perform in each of the 5 categories that we discussed earlier. Digital products 2.0. Upfront capital, maybe $100 to $200. Digital products 2.0 requires minimal upfront investment. WAP is free to use, which has eliminated the need for expensive custom platforms. And by investing into tools like Canva to create branding, Loom to record the program, and AI to create the product, you're able to create a top-tier product with a minimal upfront investment. For scalability, it's super high. I mean, digital products are extremely scalable. You only create the product once, and then you can sell it thousands of times without doing any extra work. Now, when it comes to fulfillment, super easy. As we discussed earlier, building a digital product business was one of the most difficult as well as time-consuming tasks a beginner business owner could undertake. But once again, the combination of platforms such as WAP and AI tools like Synthesize has made the fulfillment process so simple. When it comes to risk, it's extremely low. The risk is insignificant for a couple of reasons. WAP is free, so you can literally launch as many digital products as you want until you find one that sells without worrying about the cost. You also don't spend months building a product anymore, which means you can build quickly and test without running the risk of wasting months of your time building a product that makes no money. Difficulty, once again, super low. I've discussed at length how easy the process of building digital products has become, but there's another reason why the difficulty level is actually extremely low. Most people don't realize this, but the industry is in its infancy, which means competition is still extremely low. Those who get in right now have the highest chance of succeeding long-term. Getting into digital products 2.0 right now is like getting into drop shipping or e-commerce 10 or 12 years ago. Like 10 or 12 years ago, this would be a very different presentation. Digital products would be super difficult. I couldn't even recommend it to you guys. And e-commerce would be like the number one home run that I would tell you guys, do this. But times have changed. And one of the worst things you can do in your career is try to work on stuff that used to work. Business models that had their glory days. Those glory days are gone. You got to focus on what's working on right now and what's going to work for the next 5 or 10 years. So to summarize, with digital products 2.0, upfront capital is $100 to $200. Scalability is high. Fulfillment is easy. Risk is low. Difficulty is easy. And with that, digital products 2.0 is the laziest business model out there. You can make tens of thousands of dollars a month with minimal effort in a market that has minimal competition and is growing rapidly. Just so you guys understand, let me paint a picture. This is how it stacks up to the other business models. You can see dropshipping is not looking very pretty. SMMA still looks pretty appealing. I'd say it's got good statistics across the board. Software, I mean, just forget about. Affiliate marketing, once again, pretty good statistics across the board. The issue with affiliate marketing is you're going to have to build a personal brand, which most people don't want to do. I recommend it for most people. I think it's a great business. There's very few people that have affiliate marketing as their main income. It's more of kind of like a side thing. So no disrespect to affiliate marketing, but it's just, I really wouldn't call it a business model. Whereas digital products 2.0, I mean, look at this. Like you can't argue this. This is undoubtedly the biggest opportunity in the online space right now. I mean, do you think I would have invested in a platform like WAP if I didn't believe in the future of this industry? Listen, I'm extremely logical. I spent 2 years evaluating every single company in the space, looking at the intimate financials of every single company in the space, looking at the trajectory of the space, because when I'm going to make such a massive investment and take a huge stake as a co-owner in such a big company, which quite frankly is a huge financial risk, but I sleep easy at night knowing it's not a risk because I see the trajectory of where digital products are going. And truly, it's like getting involved in e-commerce, in Shopify, in dropshipping 10, 12 years ago. You're coming at just the right time before things explode. And if you get in right now, you're going to be compensated very generously for it. The digital product market is projected to more than double in size over the next 5 years. By 2030, we're looking at almost $1 trillion a year industry. It's insane. So quite simply, you have a decision to make. Are you going to get in early and get your slice of the cake? Or are you going to wait and fight for the crumbs once the market is ultra competitive? That, my friend, is the decision that only you can make. As always, I'm watching from afar and I'm rooting for you.
Thanks.
Now, this leads us into our first point of discussion. You see, there is someone out there doing 10 times better than you, not because they're smarter than you, but because they have learned to say no more often. Let me explain. The first secret of the ultra wealthy is they are professionals at saying no. They know how to say no to make space for the few yeses, but those few yeses are the reason they are in the position that they are in. In the exact same way that a garden becomes beautiful, not by planting everything, but by weeding out what doesn't belong. You see, you guys think that if you keep planting more and more and more, that you'll be successful. But if you don't remove the weeds, well, then none of what you are planting will ever even come into fruition. You have to remember that in life, you can have anything you want, but you just can't have everything you want. Let me repeat that once again, because I think a lot of people really do misunderstand this. In life, I'm being serious right now. Anything you want, you can have it, but you can't have everything you want. The people you look up to the most, including myself, we all have our shortcomings. We all have areas of our life where we're lacking, or maybe we're not as strong at. And quite simply, you have to pick your battles. So, just like a gardener who prunes away at the overgrowth, so that way only the best flowers can thrive, so too do productive people say no to good opportunities, so that way they have space for the great ones. I forget who said it, but I read it 10 years ago. In life, unless it's a yes, it's a no. And what that means is you really don't have to say yes to that many things. You know when something is right for you. You can feel it in your gut, but the biggest shame in life is when you have things that are absolute yeses, like home runs, but you just have too much clutter in your life. You've added too many things, so that way you can't go all in on the things that actually matter. Quite simply, every yes is a seed, but if you plant too many, your focus gets choked by clutter. Let's imagine another very visceral example. A sword is only sharp because the blacksmith chips away at the excess metal. That's the only reason it commands the power that it does, by removing excess, not by addition. And because of that, a warrior doesn't win battles by swinging wildly. A sharp sword is the result of precision, not excess. Similarly, your time and energy gain cutting power when you say no to unnecessary meetings, distractions, and obligations. That gives you the space to go all in on the yeses. You know, it's funny, when I think about being more productive, the first thing I think of is what can I get rid of? What can I say no to? And funnily enough, in my life, the biggest seasons of growth have been the seasons where I removed stuff. I didn't add new things. So life usually gets bloated, and then you need to start cutting things off. Because when you cut things off, you then have the space and the clarity and the focus to actually go for the home runs. Speaking of, that is why I made another video for you that I want you to watch right after you completed this video. These are the laziest ways to make money online in 2025. And by the way, when you hear the word lazy, I want you to think efficient, because that's really all it is. Lazy people are some of the most successful people in the world because they have learned efficiency. So in that video, I'm going to give you a blueprint on how to make money online as quickly and efficiently as possible. No email, no opt-in, no landing page. I'll leave that video in the description and watch it right after this one. Anyways, going back to my productivity principles. The second thing that the top 1% performers do is they guard 3 books. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you some stuff that will either in life, you can have anything you want online in 2025. Performers do is they guard the first hour. This is your sacred start to the day. You need to remember this crucial concept. How you start is how you spiral. The first hour is your anchor. If you drift in the morning, you will be lost by noon. Now, on the flip side, I see some people with like 5-hour morning routines and everything is just like, and that's also not success. I'm not saying that you need to have a 15-step morning routine or this or that. I'm just saying that first hour, that's your sacred hour. That's your power hour. Okay. That really sets the tone for the rest of the day. So I'm not saying for the, first 6-7 hours of your day, don't check your phone or this or that. If you can even just have that first hour as your sacred hour, that really sets the tone for the rest of the day. So please, as you are learning how to be more productive, the first hour of your day, no phone, no people, and no dopamine drip. Your morning ritual is your mental armor. That first hour sets the trajectory of your nervous system and sets the tone for the rest of your day. The third thing that ultra successful people do is they remove any guesswork. They design their defaults. Most people live by reaction. The top 1% live by default. So what do I actually mean by this? Well, you want to set up your calendar so everything important is automatic. Default meals, default wake times, default gym times equals 0 cognitive load. Anything you can standardize, the better. Now, for some people, they love food so much that every day they need to eat something different. Whereas if you're a person that isn't the biggest foodie in the world and you can just eat the same breakfast every single day, then amazing, because now you don't need to think about what you're eating first thing in the morning. Now, for some people, they wear the same clothes every single day. That way, that removes cognitive load. I don't do that personally, but what I do is I lay out my clothes the night before. So that way in the morning, I don't need to think about it. I just put on my clothes that are already pre-laid out, and that's it. And even better, if you can plan your day before your phone wakes you up. So plan your day the night before, so that way, even while you're sleeping, you're thinking about, okay, what needs to get done tomorrow? And your brain's just ticking over and it knows the mission for the next day. And it's a shame because I see everyone talking about, oh, I'm not motivated today. I just don't feel like
task. It's actually rather simple, but get started with small sums of money. Remember, you're not trying to make money here in this first stage. You are simply just reinforcing the habit of saving for the future, which is a different thing. But just to make this abundantly clear, let's actually run the numbers. If you had invested $1,000 into the S&P 500 5 years ago, and by the way, the S&P 500 has done incredibly well over the last 5 years. Obviously, we've had a lot of macro conditions where this is not normal. The government doesn't print 40% of the world's money supply in a few-year window. So I seriously doubt you're not going to find these sort of results for a long time. But anyways, if you invested $1,000 5 years ago, you would have approximately $1,700 now. Now, here's the thing. Pretty much any other investment or asset class would have yielded you similar results. And that's not bad at all. These kind of returns in a 5-year window are amazing. But if you have millions of dollars, because listen, even 1% of $100 million is still $1 million a year. At that point, your investments could suck and you'd still make obscene amounts of money. And that's why I think it's so funny when I see wealthy people making videos saying, oh, the secret is to diversify your portfolio. Yeah, of course, but you're forgetting something very crucial. You did not get rich diversifying shit. You got rich because you went all in, and then you branched out your investments as a means to protect your wealth and as a way to have uncorrelated assets. So that way, if one market wasn't doing well, maybe another. So these are all things you learn as time goes on and you actually have money to manage. You know, this is all stuff that you guys are going to find out as time goes on. But earlier in your stage, this advice does not apply to you. Now, listen, I'm sure that these people mean well, but to be honest, these videos do more harm than good. There's no such thing as universal advice. Advice needs to meet you where you're at your current career stage. Because listen, the average guy watches them and thinks, oh, this is how I'm going to get rich. No, that is in the first place. Average guy starting out without hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to deploy is going to take you forever to get to your goals. In my opinion, you might as well torch that money on experiences. That way, at least you have some stories to tell when you're older. Diversification and long-term investments take way too long to create life-changing results if you don't have anything to start with. You need something quicker, which leads us to the main point of this video, which is offensive investing. So listen, offensive investing, much like the word suggests, requires action. And this is not going to be easy work. It's not a magical pill. I'm not going to tell you to invest in some meme coin. You're not going to get rich overnight. And if that's what you wanted to hear, well, then I'm sorry. This video is probably not for you. However, here's the good thing about this. Yes, you have to put in effort, but it fucking works. You don't have to speculate if a stock is going to go up or going to go down. You don't have to anticipate market fluctuations. All you have to do is put in the work and make as much money as you want. So at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, spit it out. What is it? What you probably know what it is. What I'm talking about is self-education. And the idea here is incredibly simple. And I'll actually just break it down with some simple math in a second. It's simple, but it's overwhelmingly powerful. If you put your $1,000 to work for you in the stock market, you would probably die before you see that turn into $100,000. But if you learn a profitable skill, one that you can sell for thousands of dollars, exactly like the ones we teach inside of Digital Launchpad, you can go from nothing to making 6 figures a year in literally a few months. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. As you can see, we have thousands of students who paid $37 and are making over $10,000 a month now. Really let that sink in. This is how ridiculously overpowered self-education is. What other kind of business can you spend $37 and make a 270x return in less than a year? And the main thing is, without luck, and this is why I'm so big on self-education and built my life's purpose around revolutionizing the educational system. And this is why I call my platform Digital Launchpad, because self-education is in fact a launchpad for the life that you want. And by the way, I want to make something very clear. I don't want this to be an ad for Digital Launchpad. Trust me, $37 is not going to change my life. I couldn't care less if you joined. Obviously, I think it's in your best interest to do so because I tried to make the best product out there on the market. But I want to make it clear that there is 1,000,001 different ways to use self-education to make more money. Let's take blue-collar jobs, for example. You could get a plumber's license for as little as $75 and get paid more than 90% of people out there with fancy degrees. This also works for real estate, to get your real estate license. If you want to become a personal trainer and many other skills, get your license, get your qualification, not from these bullshit universities that charge you way too much money and you spend way too long. With most tangible skills out there, you can get the qualifications and the certificate or even just the self-education of its online programs in just a couple of weeks, even a couple months. In my opinion, this is great and all. And by this point in the video, you should have zero doubt in your mind that self-education is the best path to start making real money, especially as a young guy in your early 20s. But just in case you're not convinced, stay with me for a second, because this right here is what makes self-education incomparably superior to anything else on the face of the earth. Well, people love talking about the compounding effects of investing. I mean, you probably saw those videos explaining how if you invest a certain amount and then about every 7 years it keeps doubling again and again, then after a while it's an insane amount of money, and everyone wants to reference Warren Buffett and all this stuff. And I get it. Listen, it does work. This is true. I mean, Einstein said it himself. Compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. But here's the issue I have with this. Is it going to work? Yeah. Is it going to take a long ass time to build that momentum? Also true. And to me personally, being rich in your 70s is fine. Like, it's great. You know, you can take care of your loved ones, a nest egg. You know, you don't have to be a burden on your family. You're kind of set. However, if you want to live a truly memorable life, then you need to get rich young. You need to get rich now. And I'm not talking become a multi-millionaire by the time that you're 16 that a lot of these people feel pressured to these days. I mean, just get to a point where you have financial freedom, where 95% of things you don't need to look at the price tag of. You could pretty much live the life that you want. But what if I told you that there's actually a hack, a cheat code, a shortcut to achieving the same compounding effect that's not dependent on time? What if I told you that you can have the exact same exponential returns in less than a year? Hear me out. When people think of compounding interest, they think of what? Time, correct? They associate the concept of compounding as something that grows exponentially in a certain time frame. However, let me offer you a slightly different perspective. And this is what people don't realize. And by the way, this keeps them from making unfair amounts of money. You can achieve the same compounding interest effect through learning skills, through skill stacking, and strategically stacking them on top of each other. And here's how you're going to do this. Picture this. John works a low-level 9-to-5. He makes $20,000 a year. Now he learns copywriting. It takes him a few months, but now he's on pace to make $70,000 a year. And then he learns how to hire and delegate and manage a team. And now he's making $140,000 a year. And then he learns systems and client acquisitions. And now his business is on pace to do 280 grand a year. And then he learns content creation and personal branding, and now he's making $1 million a year. And I could keep going on and on about skill stacking until he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But here's the point. You do not have to wait until you have gray hairs and grandkids to start seeing the digits in your bank account double every couple of months. Instead of using time as a catalyst to double your income, you can use skill stacking and double your revenue every couple of months, predictably and consistently. And that, my friend, ties perfectly with the message of this video. And that is, self-education can propel you to riches faster than any other investment out there. Now, once you actually invest in your education and start to actually make decent money, multiple six figures or even 7+, then and only then should you get serious about boring, long-term defensive investments. As I said previously, you should always be doing it on a small scale, even if it's just $5 a week, just so you can consolidate that habit. But the moment that you actually want to get serious about this is when you have multiple six figures just laying around and nowhere to put it.
So just about every single business YouTube channel has sounded the alarm on how AI is going to uproot everything and how we're all basically fucked. And they are all wrong. Well, kind of. So there's three core components that you really need to understand in order to not be left behind when it comes to AI. Firstly, there's the AI revolution. Second, we need to discuss how it's actually going to affect the real world. And thirdly, you need to understand how to actually make money with AI. Now, here's the thing. If we look back through history, every single turning point has improved on what was already there. I mean, the plow, for example, it simply made farming easier. It didn't uproot the principles of farming itself or the printing press. It made information more easily accessible, and the effects of that were huge, but it didn't change the information itself. I mean, even the internet. Fundamentally, the internet simply allowed brick and mortar businesses to expand to anyone with an internet connection. But how is AI different? Because it is. You see, for the first time in history, AI has productized something that is usually unique to humans. and that skill. One thing most people don't actually quite understand is that AI has been around for many, many, many years. It's just we're starting to hear about it now, or to be more accurate, we've really been starting to hear about it since the 30th of November 2022. And that's because with tools like ChatGPT, access to AI has now been democratized. And that's a really big change, because now
serious about making real money, you need to accept that everything you do needs to be singularly focused when you're first starting out. And before this starts to sound too much like inspiration, I need you to understand that this isn't the ideal human state. Humans need social interactions. Humans need hobbies. They need every element of the hierarchy of needs fulfilled. But what you'll need to do to overcome inertia is so painful, so repulsive to the human condition, that most people never do it. You need to accept that for the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to be less well-rounded. You're not going to learn that language that you've always wanted to, or you're not going to hit your personal bests in the gym. Once you think of your life like that flight, it's easier to understand. You need to sacrifice a hell of a lot of fuel now to cruise at that millionaire altitude later. And I can tell you this experience. 2017 and even 2018 when I made my first million, all the way even to, I'd say, 2019. Those 3 years between 2017, 18, and 19, I had no hobbies. I didn't see my friends. I didn't do anything. And the funny thing is, as my career progressed, I reintroduced those hobbies and I ended up making substantially more money. But for that beginning stage, I had to just focus. That new hobby I wanted to learn? No. Oh, coffee catch-ups with friends? No. Watching some new Netflix TV show? No. When you are first starting out, you just have to be in a season and a period of your life where you say no to absolutely everything and anything that doesn't have a clear correlation to your goals. Now, this video is all about the principles you need to apply to make money. But I also appreciate that there's a lot of you watching this right now wondering, okay, how do I actually make money? And that is why I launched Digital Launchpad. It is the only educational platform in the world created specifically for this reason. Inside of it, you have a selection of 10 programs at the moment, countless ways to make money, taught by the best of the best experts in the world. And not only that, for the rest of the year, we have one new program launching every single month. And you can get access to all of it for only $37 a month, or for less than 73 cents a day if you get the annual plan. So go ahead and check the first link in the description. I guarantee it's the best decision you make this year. Now, going back to my last point about distractions, if you look at one of the most famous figures in British history, the twice Prime Minister, the Duke of Wellington, maybe for those that didn't grow up in the UK like I did, this means absolutely nothing. But for anyone who's in the UK, you'll know that he is celebrated all over London with statues and pubs named in his honor. And his greatest victory was the defeat of Napoleon in the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. What most people don't know, unless you've read extensive books on him growing up like I did, is that he was actually a great musician. In fact, as a child, that's pretty much all he did. That's all he succeeded at. He was regarded by his teachers, his parents, and anyone he worked with as a failure. Then after being rejected for a marriage proposal and being told that he would amount to nothing, he did something that changed his life. He picked up his violin, he walked to his fireplace, he threw it in there, and he watched it burn. Now, if you don't already know, I'll just let you go ahead and research his impact to understand his importance in history. But safe to say, the reason I'm here and speaking to you in English is because he put away his childish distractions. He realized that his violin, as much as he loved it, and it was great, and it was a fun little hobby, was that and that only. A hobby. It was not the domain in his life that he was going to go out and conquer and achieve all his goals. No, it was just a hobby. And to have that sort of insight is so special. You know, there's so many things in my life where they're hobbies, and I leave them as hobbies because I understand this is not my lane. And this, quite frankly, is a distraction. And I'm allowed to have hobbies just as long as my hobbies do not distract me from the main thing. So as you hear all of this, to me, it's still slightly baffling that you still have TikTok or Instagram on your phone, unless you are using it to monetize somehow. Now, listen, we live in an attention economy, and there are thousands of people and businesses desperately trying to get yours. You got Meta and TikTok who employ the same people who make gambling machines to program addictive qualities into their apps. Getting your attention back requires an incredible dedication to removing the distractions from your life. I remember when I was 14, I was flipping Instagram accounts. I bought a PlayStation, I was playing FIFA Ultimate Team. And in fact, I was actually even making money from FIFA Ultimate Team by trading players and then selling the coins on. But even still, I realized that this is holding me back from my greater ambitions because I knew that it was a distraction. I knew that I would always rather be doing that than doing anything else remotely constructive. Now, you might be looking around your room and wondering if you could do the same thing. I'm not telling you to smash your PlayStation right now. Instead, let's start small. Go into your phone and just delete any app that looks like it could take a second of your attention without giving you something in return. So that's right. Instagram, gotta go. Delete Twitter, delete TikTok. Now, if you are making money from these things, very different story. That's a topic for another day. And that's something that I'll be putting out a lot more content about in the future. But if you're on Twitter just because you like seeing random bullshit on there, how is that serving you? In life, you always want an equal exchange. So ask yourself, if you had a friend that all they did was take, and give you nothing in return, would you still want to be friends with them? Okay, cool. Well, then why are you on Twitter? Why are you on TikTok? Unless you're getting something back in return, why are you on these platforms? And by the way, I'm on these platforms. You might even be following me on these platforms. So it's not, just fucking delete them. And I hate to be the one to say this, but these distractions aren't limited to technology. If you're watching this, likely your friends are trying to invite you on Fridays to have little gaming parties, or maybe go get shit-faced at the local bar. Now, I'm not saying that you need to cut these people out forever or remove them from your life. Because for me, honestly, it's very good for the soul sometimes to just go and be stupid with your friends and have fun and just act your age. Especially for boys, it's just good to be with your guys sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to understand, for the next 6, 12, 18 months, they are not going to be on the same wavelength as you. So you need to decide whether 7 hours of socializing and a hangover every week are really worth it to you right now. So as you're trying to get this plane off the ground, do you really want to do it in stormy conditions? Do you really want to do it with the winds working against you? Now is not the time for distractions. Now is the time for work. Unsurprisingly, this level of work and commitment is not sustainable. It's going to make you sick, and it's going to make you a pretty miserable person to speak to. So that's why you need to set realistic goals and a time limit to this dedication. And one of the most common mistakes I see people making when they start out is making wildly outlandish predictions and goals. You know, I'm willing to bet that if you scroll to the comments of this video, you'll see someone saying that they're going to comment again in a year's time when they're on a yacht with me smoking a cigar. And to that gentleman, take this in the nicest way possible. You're probably not. Now, in 3 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years, that could be a totally different story. And by the way, constantly in my life, I have these crazy situations where people that I was watching 10 years ago on YouTube or watching their content think, oh, it'd be so cool to meet this person or hang out with this person. We now meet as peers. So this stuff takes time. You just need to understand that in the short term, In the next year, you probably won't become a millionaire. And that's totally fine. Now, maybe your business does $1 million in revenue, but that doesn't mean that you're a millionaire. To me, what being a millionaire is actually having profited $1 million, as in taking home personally $1 million. That's step number one, or even better, having $1 million in cash. To me, that's what makes you a millionaire. So is it realistic that that's going to happen in 1 year? Probably not. Obviously, unless you have a pre-existing business, you have some pre-existing background, and you're just scaling up what you're already doing. But as a beginner, no, it's not realistic. And that's fine. But that's 1 year. What you can accomplish in 5, 8, 10, 15 years is beyond your wildest fucking imaginations. So to the people who have these wild aspirations with no timeline and realistic goals, they're forgetting the whole point of this video. The getting started is the hardest part of the journey. Take this as someone who's made hundreds, then thousands, then millions, then tens of millions. Your first 10,000 is always the hardest. But once you do, you'll have overcome the inertia that binds stationary objects. Next, you need to set a realistic time limit to achieve these goals in. I'm not saying this to be kind or to say that you need to work hard for 3 months and then give yourself a week break. I'm saying this because it is a biological fact that no human can sustain this level of focus and determination for a prolonged period of time. I said it earlier, humans need friends, we need distractions. So when someone tells me that they've been head down working furiously for 2 years with no breaks, I know that they're lying. Now, how do we tie this all together? Well, you've probably heard me talk about monk mode before. This is a protocol that I developed in my own life almost 5 years ago at this point. Listen, I'm in a good position in my life and my business where I don't require enormous amounts of effort to keep things moving. But a couple times a year, I go into monk mode. I enter into a state of massive dedication and focus, removing distractions from my life and becoming hyper productive. And whilst this almost always results in massive advances in my business, I'll be honest, I do this because I also like taking time off. I like socializing with my friends and being silly, which is why for me, I go into these periods of intense smoke mode. And then from there, I have no guilt or I have no issues or I have no worries or concerns about being social, meeting friends, enjoying my life. Now you need to enter monk mode for a different reason. And listen, while I could talk about this for hours, the truth is if you're looking to enter into monk mode, just go ahead on my YouTube and watch all of the videos I've made on it. In this video, I just want to explain how it relates to the first step of your entrepreneurial journey. You see, earlier I spoke about how you need to remove distractions in your life and reduce your social commitments. So you might think, therefore, that this is all about subtraction. The truth is a little different. Monk mode only works when you apply it holistically to all areas of your life. You need to apply the same diligence and commitment to your sleep, your diet, and your body as you do your work. For most people, that means eating less, sleeping more, and sticking to a simple gym regime. This isn't so you can get a six-pack at the same time as earning your first $10,000. It's to support your mind on the journey. Only by fueling it properly and giving it the things you need will you stand a chance at success. So ladies and gentlemen, today's video is really to remind you and assure you that at the beginning, it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and lie that it's not, but that's fine. That's part of the journey. And I know that it sucks for a bit, and I know that it's not going to be easy for a bit, but I promise you, listen to me, I promise you this, that if you just get the plane off the ground, if you just get it to that cruising altitude, I'm not saying that your life becomes incredible, you never have any worries or any fears, but it just takes so much less effort to sustain it and keep the plane going than it does to get it off the ground. So that's why if you apply the principles that I mentioned in today's video, not only are you going to be able to get the plane off the ground, but you're going to do it in a way where you don't absolutely torment and torture yourself every day because your expectations have been set clearly. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, I'm watching from afar and I'm rooting for you.
বাহ,
পড়ো। কোশ্চেন করছিলাম দেখো কত স্কোর বেড়ে গেছে আমার কোয়েশ্চেন কম টাইমের মধ্যে কোয়েশ্চেন সলভ করলে ঠিক আনসার হলো 3 পয়েন্ট, যদি বেশি টাইম নিয়ে ঠিক আনসার দাও 2 পয়েন্ট, যদি ভুল আনসার দাও তাহলে 1 পয়েন্ট শুধু অ্যাটেম্প্ট করার পর। এই করে লিঙ্কিং দেখে
আজ কি আছে?
প্রিয়াংশু বল। দশটা বন্ধ করবো 10:30টায়, কালকে দিকে না, কালকে দেরি করে শোবে, জিজ্ঞাসা করি, ভাবলাম আজকে তোমাকে ওখানে জিজ্ঞাসা করি কটায় শুরু করছি, 12টা 12:30। আমি তাড়াতাড়ি ঘুমাবো, 12:30 অব্দি কাজ। কি মনে হচ্ছে, ভালো জায়গায় ট্রান্সফার হবে নাকি বেকার জায়গায়?
কিচ্ছু বুঝতে পারছি না। ডেঞ্জারাস জায়গা হলে 3 বছরে চলে আসতে পারবো।
না,
ভালো
ভালো
জায়গা হলে 5 বছর।
জায়গায় হলে এই একবারই চান্স পাবে, আধা কলকাতা ছেড়ে বাইরে এর মধ্যে পড়ার কেভিতে, যদি ভালো জায়গা হয়, যেমনি ভেবে নাও তোমার
দিল্লি
মুম্বাই
হলো,
বা দিল্লি বা
ব্যাঙ্গালোর।
হায়দ্রাবাদ ব্যাঙ্গালোর এগুলো হলে, তাহলে ওখানে কেভিতে তুমি আড্ডা আর মাধু আরামসে এই হয়ে যাবে।
না, ওসব জায়গা হলে আমি খরচা টানতে পারবো না। কেন বলতো?
কেন?
দিদা দাদুর একটা খরচা আছে, তোমার একটা খরচা আছে, প্লাস আমাকে ওখানে ঘর ভাড়া টাড়া নিয়ে থাকতে হবে।
তো জায়গা হিসাবে রেসিপ্রোকাল ওরা স্যালারি বানাবেন, ওই সিটিতে তো অনেক বেশি খরচা, তো ওরা
স্যালারি
স্যালারি বাড়াবে না।
স্যালারি বাড়বে হলো ডেঞ্জার জায়গা,
বা-
বুঝলে?
আর ওই গভর্নমেন্ট হাউসিং দেয় না, যেমনি ওই যে
গভর্নমেন্ট হাউস দিলে পয়সা কেটে দেবে মাইনে থেকে।
কি
এ- এ- এ-
মানে
হাউস
একটা
হাউস
এক্সাম্পল,
রেন্টাল।
যেমনি কি আর্মি ক্যাম্পাস ছিল কেন্দ্রীয় বিদ্যালয়।
আমি ধরো এখানে, আমি যারা কলকাতায় ধরো বাইরে থেকে এসে রয়েছে, সে ধরো আমার র্যাঙ্কের কেউ রয়েছে, আমি হাউস রেন্ট অ্যালাউন্স পাই হলো 20,000 টাকা। এবার আমি যদি গভর্নমেন্ট কোয়ার্টারে থাকতাম তাহলে 20,000 টাকাটা কি বলতে বুঝতে পেরেছো? কারণ তুমি অ্যাকোমোডেশন গভর্নমেন্টে ইউজ করছো, আর তুমি যদি গভর্নমেন্ট অ্যাকোমোডেশন না থাকে, তুমি ভাড়াতে থাকো, তুমি যদি 10,000 টাকা ভাড়া থাকো, 10,000 টাকা তুমি save করতে পারো।
হুম।
বুঝতে পেরেছো?
তাহলে তো ওই আশেপাশে সিউড়ি টাইপের জায়গা হলেই ভালো।
না, স্টেট, ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গল স্টেটে রাখবে না।
আর ঝাড়খণ্ড বিহার এগুলো কাছাকাছি আছে।
ঝাড়খণ্ডে হতে পারে, উড়িষ্যা হতে পারে, আসাম হতে পারে, সিকিম হতে পারে, গ্যাংটক হতে পারে, মধ্যপ্রদেশ হতে পারে, গুজরাট হতে পারে, রাজস্থান হতে পারে, ছত্তিশগড় হতে পারে।
আন্দামান নিকোবর।
আন্দামান নিকোবর ডাইরেক্ট পোস্টিং হয় না, চেন্নাই গেলে চেন্নাই থেকে আন্দামান নিকোবর। চেন্নাই গেলেই যে তোমার ওখানে হবে কোনো কনফার্ম। আন্দামান নিকোবর হলে তো আমি তো আসতেই পারবো না। মা আর গ্রুপে নেওয়া যাবে না, ওখানে সবচেয়ে বেশি টাকা।
ওখানে কেভিও আছে।
হেভি আছে, মেইনল্যান্ড থেকে অত দূরে চলে যাওয়া, আর মানে ফ্লাইট মাঝে মধ্যেই ক্যান্সেল হয়, ফ্লাইটও কম, এবার দিদা দাদু দিদা দাদু তোমার পড়ার ব্যাপার, মা ফটফট আসতেও পারে না। ওখানে মাঝে মধ্যেই সাইক্লোনিক উইন্ড হয়, এর ফলে সবসময় ফ্লাইট ক্যান্সেল হয়, 2-3 দিন অন্তর অন্তর ফ্লাইট।
ডিনার করে নিয়েছো? হুম, আদ্যা কি করছে?
ও ডিনার করছে,
হোমওয়ার্ক করেছিল?
আমার মনে হয়ে গেছে, মা অন্তত করাচ্ছে। আমার ফোনটা এনে দেবে?
তো তোমার এই বানিয়ে রেখেছি ম্যাঙ্গো।
হ্যাঁ,
তোমার আমি আমার তোমার আর আদ্যার ম্যাঙ্গো শেক বানিয়েছিলাম, বুঝেছো?
আমার ফোনটা চার্জ থেকে খুলে আনবে, সুইচ অফ করবে, এই বন্ধ করে দিবে আমি তো করে নিয়েছি আর
বহুত এটা কি করছো
কাজ Why the hell are you doing? You cannot see how important of a work I am doing. So many works I am doing. See, this also. You dare hit me. Look how important notes I am making out of this.
of this from this
Yes.
from this from
And
this,
also from
this.
this.
Takes time. You just need to understand that in the short term, in the next year, you probably totally fine.
Short
Now,
notes.
maybe your business does $1 million in revenue, but that doesn't mean that you're a millionaire. To me, what being a millionaire is actually having profited $1 million, as in taken home personally $1 million. That's step number one, or even better, having $1 million in cash.
তাকে 10 টাকার চকলেট দিল আর যে আদর করবে তাকে 20 পয়সা দে
না তো করে দাও আমি 20 পয়সা পেয়ে যাই
ও এদিকে এসো
20 পয়সা দিয়ে এখন কিছু হবে না
হ্যাঁ ওই জন্যই তো বললাম আমি কি চালু আছি তুমি জানো না কিরকম চালু আছি
3 divided by 100
3 divided by 100 0.03
দুটো জিরো আগে বলে দিয়েছিল
0.03 ও বলতে পারো 4000 তোমার যখন হয়ে যাবে
আমার আর 10টার মধ্যে হয়ে যাবে
তুমি তবে এখানে চলে আসবে হ্যাঁ আর আমার ওখানে এই ল্যাপটপটা আমি আর অন্য কিছু সরিয়ে দেবো আজকে কত তারিখ
25 26
ও
इसमें देख रहे थे लैपटॉप में हम कोई वीडियो देख रहे थे।
नहीं, एक स्टूडेंट है सेकेंड ईयर में है, वो नीट के पहले वो लाइव आता है और चैट में जो क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं उसका आंसर देता है। जैसे कोई माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया का क्वेश्चन दो बोले तो उसका कौन सी एलिमेंट की बोलते हैं, तुम्हारा कौन सा सब्जेक्ट फेवरेट है, वो क्या सा सब्जेक्ट एप्रोच किया जाता है, तो वो पे बात करता है रोज आधा घंटा करके ऐसे ही बातचीत करते हैं यूट्यूब में। नीट के वक्त पेपर वाला शायद देखा था मुझे।
तो ये पापा को वो वाला कहाँ से किया?
हाँ, वही यूट्यूब रिकमेंडेशन में आ जाता है ना, शॉर्ट्स देखते देखते बीच में लाइव आ जाता है, देखे वही